something that is on my mind that I'm hoping the council is going to be addressing soon is the fact that in just 6 years, 6 years will go fast, we are going to lose the $5 million a year revenue from our hydro generators, Faith, Open, Charity. And that'll be a big hit to the city, and that's just in 6 years from now, and that'll go fast. And I'm hoping that the council and the city the people, the city manager and engineers and all are working at some way of moving forward when we lose the contract with NIMO and then lose the $5 million a year revenue from Faith, Open, Charity.
Sure.
That's all I have.
All right. Well,
Keep up the good work on the third floor. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's an interesting question. The hydro contract comes up. Go ahead.
Well, first off, I appreciate the compliment, and I'm happy that, I can bring some experience that maybe isn't common to city council, and I'm hoping to use it. There's a lot of things that I don't know also, so I like to learn from that. But the hydro contract, we talk about this a lot. First, I think the first thing that we're working on doing is increasing the efficiency of our own buildings and our own electric use, because about 50% of that production goes to our buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that, we're always going to have sewer, running the sewage treatment plant uses a lot of electricity. So does City Hall, though. So we're working on energy efficient improvements, and then we'll go from there. It's hard to generate revenue, if you're not running a business. And we really aren't.
Well, part of what people don't often think about with that contract, it's not just selling excess power, is that whatever the city's usage is at all of its buildings is subtracted from what's produced, and then a wheeling charge is added to that. So in essence, the city is, I'm not saying they're getting free electricity, but they're getting very reasonable priced electricity to operate all of its water plants, sewer plants, City Hall, and so on, correct?
Correct.
And then on top of that, whatever is left over in terms of production is bought by National Grid at a rather accelerated rate that will approach 30 cents a kilowatt by 2030, and that's way above market rates. So you're going to lose that 5 or 6 million or most of it. You can't. There's a naive statement that I've heard umpteen times about, why don't we renegotiate this with Grid? No.
Right. They're not going to.
They're not going to do anything. They want out of this. Mm-hmm. And they're going to say, welcome to our customer base, because you're going to be buying all of your power from them.
Well,
whatever the rate schedule is.
We'll still create our own. We'll still have the plant. We can make our own power still and use it.
Sell it. You'd probably be selling it.
Well, depends. I had somebody reach out to me and say, I don't know the terminology for it, but if you sold the power at specific times, you're going to make more money than if you sell it when there's an excess, say during the day, mm-hmm. and it's sunny and solar's on. You're going to get less money for that power during the day. But if you could sell it at night when that solar is not working, or on days that it's not winning, I don't know how any of this works, but somebody that worked for Brookfield reached out to me and said that there is ways to make more money with the exact same amount of power that you have right now.
I don't doubt that.
So we would have to investigate how to do that.
But you're not going to clear $6 million a year plus get the benefit of essentially free power for city buildings.
Definitely not.
And that will be about, when that contract expires, and depending on what numbers you want to use, and trying to be optimistic, you're going to have to raise property taxes by a good 80%.
Maybe 50.
50. No, we'll give you 50. But depending on what it is, because your levy now is about $9 million, and if you lose 6, and maybe you get a little bit for that power, but you got to pay for power from Grid, maybe whatever it is, 60% or 50, 60, 70%, whatever it is. How are you going to vote for that increase? Well, you'll be in your third term then or something.
My third term, yeah. That's a reason why when you're planning spending, you're trying to make sure that you don't create too much debt now. This debt's going to come due at a certain time. It all has maturity dates. We're going to have years, and Mr. Mills is very astute at determining when this debt is due. So if we know there's upcoming fiscal cliff stuff, we have to plan for it. And spending, and conservative spending and responsible spending is definitely how we're going to do it. It's going to be part of the problem, part of the process.
Well, conservative spending, yes, there's always little things. You should always seek economies in your energy consumption and all of that. But in terms of the big ticket items, You're unable to cut the fire department. You're not going to cut the police department because of politics and also crime. Public Works, I mean, obviously they do a good job, but you got to have them. So still going to keep snowing, still going to keep having potholes. Water and sewer, all of that. Where do you cut? I mean, you can say, well, we'll buy, a little less paper clips every year, but that's not going to save anything.
I mean, like just, doing things that we don't have to do. Building things we don't have to build. Buying things we don't have to buy.
Well, how about essentially getting rid of some kind of service? Like, would you try to offload? I don't know. You're going to close a pool at some point.
I mean, it hasn't been discussed, but.
Well, you're going to have to. And as far as the zoo, I don't know what's going to happen there. You're either going to have increasing subsidies of a private corporation, or you're going to run it yourself, or you're going to close it.
Right.
Those are the three options.
Sure.
And how come I can see that, but nobody else?
Well, those are definitely the options.
Yeah.
It's basically the only option.
And the thing is, the essence of governing is choosing. And the council does not seem willing or able to make a choice. They get in there, it's like, and what'll happen with the zoo? I mean, Dr. Irwin will come in or Dr. Shanfania and they'll say, oh, well, this was great and all of that. And then they'll get a parent bringing their kid in there and it'll all get misty and that'll be the end of that. And when it gets to the pool, it's going to be, what do you got against the flats? Right?
There's a lot of,
because why is that one?
A lot of emotional politics go into decision making, I'm sure.
But why'd you build the North Side pool? Because what are you got against the North Side? North Siders never get anything and all of that. You heard it.
Right.
And, the other one, the golf course, I don't know. It's, well, we don't want to have public employees, selling that, and we can get around all the payroll overhead and all of that. And, in the end, I'm not sure you do, because you know what? Hiring people these days, it used to be you could hire like lifeguards for nothing because they were desperate. They're in college or something. You're not going to pay less than $20 an hour for a lifeguard, or probably more.
Right. I think we were paying 18 and 20 last year. It may go up this year. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, they're in a position to save people's lives like a fireman. They're a first responder in some ways. How can you sit there and say we want to pay them $8 an hour or something? And then, the same is true of all of this stuff. I mean, there is no way to make up $6, $7, $8, $9 million in lost revenue due to that hydro thing expiring.
Probably not, unless between now and 6.5 years from now, we can find a way to drive commercial business or, hotel business. So $24 million, I think, is our sales tax revenue. And that's what we get every year in the city. If we can bring more, I mean, we do have undeveloped land in the city. I mean, that Mercy site is huge. Well,
there's some things that could improve, yeah. And sales tax has been a big boon to the city, obviously. Sure. But you're not going to get any kind of different distribution rate. You get 24% of the local share now. You're not going to get any more than that.
Right. Well, that could always, and I know people say that's a great deal that we get with the county right now, and maybe it is, but the dynamics of the city have changed and the county's usage of the city has changed. I mean,